So AWS Lambda is nothing but it's a serverless computing service which is on the AWS itself, okay, which is allowing us to run the code without provisioning or creating or managing the servers. That we don't need to worry about the servers to create and maintain and to do configurations about the servers, taking headache about them. And once we create any function, that the function how much you use, that much only you can pay for it. It's allow you to pay for the compute time that you're going to be consumed by the Lambda. Okay, so here we use in a different features, like it's having the good features like serverless. We use for the event drive. It is serverless. We use for event drive, which is nothing but automatically it runs the code, the response to the events, and then it is scalable and cost efficient. Cost effective, like this Lambda. We no need to create any server and there need to install the dependencies and need to run the code and all. Okay, so in a real-time case we would be using for the file processing, okay, for file processing and web application handles, data transformation, scheduled tasks, and backend services. So for this we will be using the AWS Lambda. And what is the benefits by using by Lambda? We even already had a discussion about that. It is very easy to use, create the code and deploy the code and run the code. We know that it is too much cost efficient and flexible and scalable and easy to integrate. And you can run the code whatever the programming language, Python, Node.js, Java, .NET, and all. Okay, so let's try out 2 labs on it. That on a regular basis how we use AWS Lambda. Okay, so let's go with the lab. Come and just log into the AWS cloud and just go to the IAM first. Here, in order to integrate my Lambda, so I have to provide certain permissions for it, and I have to create a role for it to communicate one service to another service. Okay, so let's go and create one policy, and here create policy here. Okay, so go to JSON. Here the JSON code is there. Remove it and let's add this code that you get in the notes. Okay, and then go for next. Give any name for this policy. Okay, so I'll be giving a name for it, like you can give any name. I'm giving a name called instance automatic. Okay, policy, like this. You can give any description like test 01. And what are the services we are allowing here to do communication between the multiple services? EC2 and CloudWatch logs with the Lambda. Okay, so now I'm going to create this policy. So here it is. Yeah, create this policy. So policies, yeah, it was done. If you click on the V policy, this is our policy. Okay, and after this, come to roles. Click on role. Go to AWS service, and here that we too allowed for EC2 and CloudWatch log, right? And here I want to communicate with my Lambda. You can select the Lambda, even you can search on it. Select this, go next. And then search for the policy, which we created. This is a policy. Check it out. Next. And it's going to ask a role name. Let's say Lambda role lab. I'm giving like this. Okay. And you can see here automatically it was created a trust policy that it is going to communicate the Lambda and other services. Just come down and create a role. So this is a part of that providing permissions to get communicated with the different services in the AWS itself. That Lambda to EC2, Lambda to Cloud Logs, okay, and EC2 to Cloud Logs. So this is the privileges we have provided through our identity access management. That even we covered that in our IAM class also, right? Now I just want to create one server, launch instance, lab01, take EC2 instance. You can go for the default configurations and just launch instance. I'm just launching one instance right now here. You can see. And it is running. Like I would like to achieve that the server which is running here, I would like to stop through the function, Lambda function. Let's go to the Lambda now. Here, click on create function, author from scratch, and you can give any name of this function. That's your wish. Okay, so I'm giving a name, EC2 automatic schedule Lambda functions. Okay, so this is the name, and you can run it on the Python because we are going to give the Python script. So Python 3.9 I'm selecting here, and into 86_64 you can select. And coming to the change default execution, that here it is asking for the permissions and the Lambda to be communicated with other services. Click on the use existing role, and here you can search for R role. R role is Lambda role lab, right? Click on this and create a function. That's it. The function got created now. Okay. Now if you can see here, it is giving a function.py with a py extension. Here I need to run a code that it is going to stop the server which is running server. Okay, that is going to stop the server which is running server. So in the notes you can find this code, copy the code, paste here, that it is going to look for the region and the server of running instances, and it's going to stop. Okay, once you copy it and paste, click on deploy. That's it, and go to the test button here, or once you also deployed here, you can click on file and save also. Either it would work. Click on test, create an event here. Okay, create an event here so that you can test it as test1, test01 I would say. Okay, and click on this one, and the event one should be go with the default things itself. It's just nothing but an output to show you. Save it, and now test it. Once you click on the test, it's going to run an execution here. You can see, and that it is telling that, hey, it finds something that the EC2 instance ID is this one, and it gets stopped. And if I come here and refresh and check, you can see the instance got stopped automatically. And in order to make it up, is I have to go and create a one more function because we just given an action that it should be only stop. Now I'll give start function. Okay, Python 0.09 existing role, lambda role, create function. Come here, you can just click on this file and save. Okay, and go to test, create test02, save it, test it. It's going to run now. Started the request. You come here and refresh. But it's not get started. Let me come to the code and check the code that it is episode, region name, is it instances, it has to find for the stop, an instance ID, instance IDs. Let me redeploy the same code. Just deploy and go to test it. That is saying insert got started. And if you now come here and now yep, it is starting now. Pending. Now you can see we have been used Lambda for stopping and starting these instances. In one more way, that in the development area, how a Lambda can be used for the API. That is also one more important case. That let's do that as well. So I'm just going to stop this one and I delete those functions. Terminate this. You can find this lab nodes, the notion, terminating, and I'll delete these functions as well. Yep. Now I just want to deploy an application, that Node.js application, to get check the API gateway. Okay. So whatever the application was we are going to deploy, that has to be read through the API gateway. Okay. So first of all, let me create the function. Create a function, author from the scratch itself, and I'll say it as Node.js application. Okay. Node app, and you can go with the
even Node.js 20x also it's enough. And come here and use the selecting role and click on your lambda. Create a function, and here in the place of this index.mjs, okay, just give the a code. The code, once you copied and paste, you can just save it. Okay, so even it was in mjs, right? Duplicate, paste, cut, rename, that I can say it as js itself only for the index.js, and that's it. You can go to the file and save it. Okay, get save it. So this is the code which here, and you can also create in the zip format. Okay, it is nothing but a zip itself only. In the zip format you can create one file and you can even upload that as well here. Okay, and just go to deploy process. You already saved, nothing but no need to do anything. Okay, and then after, just go to the service called API gateway. API gateway. So before that, let's study somewhat about the API. What is API and what it do? Okay. So for that, let me open the notes for you to give you more good info. API notes. Wait a minute. Let me publish it. Yeah. You see, an API is nothing but it is application interface a program that's going to communicate between your software applications. Okay. For example, you have a front end here and you have a back end here. Okay. And whatever, for example, it is a front end and it's a back end services in the code. Whatever the request comes to the front end side, and front end needs some data from the back end, right? So this communication will happen through the API itself only. API. Okay. The best example you to get understand is if you uh, visit any restaurant and you are on the table and you're looking at the menu and you want to order something. Okay. And that is a front end where you're sitting and you're a customer. Okay, on the table, and what you need is something data, that's a biryani, okay, or something, any dish item. What you'll do, you'll call a like a bearer and you'll order to him, right? And what he will do, he'll go into the kitchen, that is a backend, and he'll bring some dish for you whatever you order. Okay, that is get data. So the bearer is nothing but API. He is communicating with you and taking your requirement and going to the back end of the kitchen, and whatever you requested is that going and bringing and coming to you. Okay, so this is how API works, application program interface between the software applications to be communicated. Okay, it works on the HTTP methods. It works on the HTTP methods. So we have a multiple methods for it. Okay, like get, put, post, and delete. Okay, so let's discuss something about it. I think the communication part is clear here. Front end to back end, it will be communicate. Okay, API will be the medium to communicate between the front end and back end. If you see, it's having one endpoint, a specific URL where API can get access to the client applications, and it do request messages from the client to the servers with get, post, put, delete, and headers methods. Okay. So whatever the header is going to be requested with the message, that's going to be a response in the body message. Okay. Like we even call it as a payload itself. The data sent to the body of the request or a response, we call it as a payload. Okay. And the types of APIs we have REST API, SOAP API, GraphQL API, and WebSocket API. And most used APIs are right now REST API. Previously, even still, REST APIs are in the use, and most advanced APIs are GraphQL APIs. Okay. SOAP APIs are similar like before we used to use, but right now SOAP APIs methods and SOAP APIs are not much into the market, but RESTful and GraphQL are more into the market right now. Okay, and even WebSocket also. So these are the types of the APIs in the market, and how you can see here, these are the common HTTP methods that every API will work. Okay, so get, retrieve the data from the server. Post means send the data to the server to create new resource. Okay, that means whenever you're logging, you're creating your sign up process. Okay, get is something means already data is there behind and you're requesting that, and the post is something that you're requesting something to be created at the server side, and put means updating an existing resource on the server. Delete means you're deleting something from it, and patch means partially updating the resource on the service. So these are all going to work through the API. Okay, and even uh, you can check this with the different tools. Okay, we have a Postman and Swagger as well. With those tools, we will check. Developer will check. Okay, so our part is sometimes whenever API is not working, so we have to get into it and just need to check that the Swagger is as opening on the web based or not. Whenever it is not connecting properly, that the network will be also we have to look into it sometimes if you are into the development area. Okay. So advantages, you can read out modularity, okay, and it is integratedly with the multiple services. Even you have a third-party APIs, you have your own APIs, your custom APIs. So all you can going to be using the applications. Okay. So this is the basic information about the API. And whenever the API is designed to the developer, they'll be considering few things. Okay. You can see here the best practice for the API design is for these are just normal things only. Okay, but here the important matter is versioning. Okay, so implement the versioning, ensure the backward compatibility and manage changes over time. So whenever it is going to bring the data from the front end to the back end side, so it is need to maintain the versioning, and also error handling. Whenever you're working on some applications, whenever you're playing around the application, like want to book an order, you're doing a Zomato order or something, sometimes it give you an error, right? All those throws from the API itself only. Okay, so that you have to check with the status code like 401, 403, 503, 500. These are all the codes, and here we need to concentrate on security as well. We will be having the OAuth 2.0, that is the authorization process called AAA, accounting, authorization and authenticating. AAA process. So here security also one of the key aspect, that it is going to communicate with one service to another service in between. Okay. Sometimes we generate JWT keys also, so that going to be authorized. And rate limiting is nothing but the use of limiting to prevent the abuse and ensure the fair usage of the API. So we cannot use that as like anything else like that. Okay, it just need to be a limit for the specific purpose. So if you check the RESTful API design principles, so here I mentioned, and tool for design and testing is Swagger, OpenAPI, Postman, and Insomnia, and Mokun. So these are all the tools, but the popular tools are Postman, Insomnia, and Swagger. And mostly we use Swagger more, and Postman more. Developer friendly are Swagger and Postman. Postman is a tool and Swagger is a web based thing. Okay, will be look like. So these are the APIs. Whenever you working with any developer, that whenever they talk, the API is nothing but to communicate. To give you one example, if I open any of the uh, online website like open Amazon itself. Right now I'm here. Here you can see after my domain, whatever here it is coming, this is API. Okay. Here there will be a one ID. Okay. So in this. And how you can check that it is success or not. If you click on one thing, it is going to get the data here. After this, it is going to pull and get the data. This is something is there, right? Ref is equal to SR 1_4. So this is going to be encrypted one completely. It's going to be an encrypted one. We have the tools to be encrypt this also. We'll discuss more in the DevOps classes, okay? And how it would be, if I open the same thing, you can go to the right side and go to the more tools and click on the developer tools. When you click on the developer tools, here you find all this information and go to the console. Here you can see the whatever happening at this server when you click on the some of the product. Okay, there will be a token and the access token. Let me open the same in the Chrome. Chrome would give you a better experience in this. More tool, developer tool. Cookies. No application itself in the console could see something. Get error announce key, migrate third party. In the network itself, you can see that. It was understand the error. Wait a minute. Mhm. Yeah, we can find some headers. I can't find it here. Application sources. Headers. Is let's search it here. Find error token from DevTools. More tools from the open. Select the network tab and look for the record button that upper left of the tab and make server rate. Network. Headers, manifest, warm, media, all fetch docs font like this. Third party request, block request, block responses. Not showing. We have to see the BRR token. Let's open any other application like press a lock, click on clear button to clear the existing network. the one here itself. Three zero two two zero 200. So now if you check, this is the https www.netflix.com. Get 200 code means okay. And if you come here, cache control, content encoding, content type, okay. And if you come down, you can find the a method get and the path scheme https and accept to this path, and this is the cookie, and there will be a bearer token as well. But this is cookie, and request URL in. If you in the next, so this is 302 found get. If we go to location, so get content type get and options, video TV, you can see the partial content, Windows. Let come the same here. We clicked on all, and if I go to one of these, the request URL is this much for the page, and if I just remove this all, only keep this one. And if I check another one, and here, 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 click on the one of the item, click this item, and go to network. Now check it out. This is the URL. Nothing but see here it is an API. This one. It goes 200 get method, and the path is due to get the uh, data. It was encoded. Okay. So that it need somewhat. Okay. Fine. I'll just create a lab on it. Then we could understand a more better. And here the host origin prefer and type. Okay. Fine. The same kind of thing we're going to implement right now. So let's go to our cloud, and here I have selected API gateway, right? So here click on build for HTTP API. Okay, we need to do it for the HTTP API. Click on build, not for the import. Click on build, and now a minute. And here we can give any name to it, like API name. I'm going to give node app API. Okay, and the next, here it is asking a method, integration method. Next, default configurations, the stage. Would I go with the name called stage itself? Staging, okay, or prod, you can say. I'll just say it as prod. Next, auto deploy, just create it. Once you get created, choose a route. Here we have to go with the get method. We have this many methods. We need to get the data from our application. Okay. So after clicking on the get and just give it like this, create, click on this, edit, default API, attach authorization. I am built in, two-stage production, deploy, and then with the starting first. Let me delete this one. Let me come again. Let's go with the REST API, which is new API, and I'm just say Node API because it was a Node.js, right? Let's go with the Node API, and I'm going to give a test itself, and just create an API, new API, and here let's configure the create resource and the resource name. So here we can go with the resource name like a Node app. Even you can enable or not enable, it's fine. Cross origin region sharing, create it. That's it, and click on this one and actions, create method. The method would be the get method through our Lambda function itself. And here you can select this one and click and search for your application. That Node app is here. Okay, our Lambda function Node app, and then come down, method requesting, let's leave it as it is, as it is, as it is, create method. So now it is going to communicate like this: client method request, method response, integration request, and integration response with the proxy. And now if I go and deploy this API, so I have to choose the stage, like new stage. I'll say it as test stage itself, deploy. It is deployed right now. If I click on the test and I'll get this one. When I click on this, I got an invoke URL. Now if you can see, this is an API. If I copy and come here and paste, I should see something which I ran from my Lambda. Hello from Lambda. So this is the code which I uploaded in the Lambda functions, and we are just invoking that with an API now. You can see this is a random execute an API and API with the path. The whatever the application we deployed at the Lambda, and that we are calling through an API with a get method. Okay. So most of the times we'll be having the APIs, the AWS, and for the easier method, developers are deploying many applications on the Lambda itself. For that, they're creating the API gateways, and even we have to support if your project use this API gateway method. Most of the cases, the project if is on the AWS, yes, that's going to be in the AWS API gateway. Sure, you'll be finding the multiple APIs here for each of the thing. Okay, so that's how the API will work. You can find these notes in the Notion. that I'm going to add it into the classroom and you can do your practice. Is that clear? And we'll discuss on it in the more in our DevOps, because when we are going to deploy an application, that time we're going to again discuss the APIs. Is it clear to everyone?